today I'll be showing you how to make this crochet bag. Oh my gosh, I think it's so cute, everyone. Like, this tutorial is actually super easy. It's really just 3 granny squares stitched together, add a strap, done. Like, that's literally the whole tutorial. If you're wondering how long this took, it only took about 2.5 to 3 hours, so it really doesn't take long to make. So yeah, with that being said, let's just get straight onto the tutorial. Alright, so this is the yarn I'll be using. They're all weight for acrylic yarn. These first 2 yarns right here I actually got from this brand. I actually got it from Hobby Lobby as well. And then this one right here is Red Heart. I don't have the label, but it's Red Heart acrylic yarn, so I'll just insert a little picture. But yeah, this is the yarn I'll be using. And then for the materials, I'll be using a tapestry needle. I'll be using a 5.75mm hook. The reason why I'm using a 5.75 rather than a smaller hook is because it makes the stitches a bit bigger, and that's what I was going for. And then also it makes the granny square work up a bit quicker compared to using a smaller hook. And then I'll be using a pair of scissors. Alright, so to start off, we're going to go ahead and make a granny square, and in order to make a granny square, we have to start off with a magic ring. So I know some people like to do that little chain 4 magic ring method, or chain 3, whatever it is. If you want to do that, you can go ahead and do that. I personally don't really like it, so I'm just going to make a magic ring. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my yarn like this. You see how I'm kind of pinching it like this, right? Then I'm going to take it, I'm going to hold on it, I'm going to wrap it around, I'm going to bring it to the front, and I'm going to create an X at the front, and then kind of hold my finger like this. Then I'm going to get my hook, I'm going to go under the first, over the second, grab it, pull it up, and then grab the yarn right here, and then we're going to make a little chain, like that, and then that's basically how I make a magic ring. So we're going to start off, because we've already made our very first chain, so we're going to chain 2 more, so 1, 2, and then we're going to start on making the granny square. So to make this granny square, in this magic ring, we're going to go ahead and insert a double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, go into the ring, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And that's how you make a double crochet. So now this chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We've just done our second double crochet. So we're now going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the same ring we're going to be working 3 double crochets this time. So we're going to go in, do 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and in the ring once again we're going to work 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and chain 2, and then we're going to work 3 double crochet once again in this ring. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our 2 double crochet, the chain 3 count as 1. We've got our 3, 3, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and close this ring just a bit. Now that I've closed it up, to end off this side, because as you can see, every other side has 3 double crochets and this one only has 2. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. And then I'm going to be working 1 more double crochet in this ring. Okay, so it looks like this. So now to end off this row, we're going to slip stitch to the top of the very first double crochet we did. So technically, although I'm counting this chain 3 as a double crochet, our actual double crochet is right here. So I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go into that double crochet, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So yarn over and pull through that, and then yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Okay, so now we can go ahead and pull on this tail to close the magic ring like this, and now we can begin with round 2. So to begin with round 2, what I'm going to do is that right now my hook is in an awkward spot, so I'm actually going to slip stitch over to the next corner, so you guys do that too. Alright, and then if you want to keep this color and you don't want a color change right now, you can go ahead and do that. So if you wanted to stay at the original color you currently have your thing as, just go ahead and chain 3. like this, but I want to go ahead and actually change my color. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and chain 1 and snip off this color. I'm going to chain 1 and then I'm going to snip it off. And now we're going to go ahead and add our new color. So I'm going to show you how I like to color change. Now everyone has their own preference for color changing and you can do what you prefer, but I'm going to show you what I like to do. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot. Sorry, I should probably show you how to make a slip knot, right? So you go like this, you take your yarn, you pull it over, you fit your fingers in, you grab this like this and pull it through, and that's how I like to make a slip knot. So I'm going to secure my slip knot on my hook by pulling both of these tails. Now that we've got our slip knot on our hook, I'm just going to go ahead and insert in any corner. You can either insert it in this corner or you can insert it in any other corner. So I'm just going to insert it in this corner right here. Alright, so then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the gap, and then we're going to pull through the loop on our hook. Like so. So now, that's how I attach colors, right? Especially for granny squares. So now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to go ahead and start our new round. So to do this, I'm going to yarn over, and in this same gap right here, I'm going to work a double crochet. Alright, and then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and in the same gap I'm going to work 3 double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, go in, this is our first double crochet, it's our second double crochet, and that's our third double crochet. So now we're going to go to the next gap, which is right here. So we've got our chain, we've got our 3 double crochet, and then we've got our next gap. So in this next gap I'm going to go in there and I'm going to work 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and then we're going to work 1 more in there, 3. Now we're going to chain 2, and in the same gap we're going to work 3 more double crochet. So I'm going to go in there, that's our first, that's our second, and that's our third. So far we've got our chain 3, our first double crochet, which actually these both count as double crochet. So we've got 2 double crochets, then we've got our chain 3, then we go into our next gap, we've got 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So now we're going to go into this next gap right here and work 3 double crochet. Alright, now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. I'm going to work 3 more double crochets in this same gap. So that's our first double crochet. That's our second double crochet. And that's our third double crochet. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to our final gap, which is right here, and in this gap we're going to then go ahead and work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and then we're going to work 1 more in there, 3. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to work 3 more double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, work 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're going to come back to this corner and finish off our row. So we're going to yarn over, go into this first corner we worked, and we're going to be working 1 double crochet. Okay, so when we work 1 double crochet, now each corner has 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So now we're going to slip stitch to the top of our first double crochet. So this is our chain 3, and right over here is our first double crochet. So I'm going to go on top of that and I'm going to make a slip stitch. So I'm going to go like this, pull through this one. Alright, so now obviously this is back in an awkward spot, so I'm going to go to our next gap. We're going to yarn over and just create a slip stitch. Okay, now obviously if you want to keep this color or snip off the color, which I'm going to go ahead and change my color, so I'm just going to chain 1 and snip off. But if you don't want to change your color, just chain 3 instead of chaining 1 and snipping off. Okay, so now I'm going to add a different color. Now mind you, you can add as many colors as you want. I just wanted to keep it simple and add 3, but if you want to add more than 3 or less than 3, go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and make another slip knot. And then I'm going to put my slip knot on my hook. And then I'm just going to insert in a random corner. And then I'm going to take my yarn. And then I'm going to yarn over and bring my loop into the gap and then pull through this one as well. And then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to start off our new round. So I'm going to yarn over, go into this gap and insert a double crochet. Okay, then I'm going to chain 2, 3 more double crochet in this gap. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, so now we're going to go into this next gap right here. Now as you can see, this gap is actually in the middle. So far we've been working in the corners, but now we've got a middle gap before we've got our corner gap. So in this middle gap, instead of working our 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet sequence, we're just going to be working 3 double crochet in there. So we're going to just work 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now I'm going to go into the corner, which we've got our 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and we're going to work that exact same thing. So we're going to do 3 double crochet, then we're going to chain 2, work 3 more double crochet, okay, so we've reached a middle gap again, so I'm going to yarn over, go into this middle, and work 3 double crochet. So that's our first double crochet. We need 2 more in there. That's our second. And that's our third. So now we're going to go into this corner again, and we're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and work 3 double crochet. Alright, so from this point on, this pattern gets super repetitive, so I'm just going to show you what to do. So basically, we've just done our 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Then now we're going to have a gap again, and in these gaps, we're going to be working 3 double crochet, so these middle gaps. And then once we make it back into the corner, we're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, come to this gap, just work 3 double crochet, and then we'll come back into this corner and finish off by doing 1 double crochet, so we can have a total of 3 double crochet on this side. So then once you do that, obviously, like I said, you would just attach a new color, and then in the corners you'd work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. In the gaps you'd work 3 double crochet. So the gaps that aren't in the corners, you're just going to be working 3 double crochet. Then once you've reached a corner again, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and so on. So I'm going to finish this round. I'm going to show you how to do it one more time, and then I'll leave you to it. I've just attached my new color, so I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now like I said, in this corner, we're just going to be working 1 double crochet. Then we're going to chain 2. In the same corner, we're going to work 3 double crochet. 2, 3. Then, like I said, in the spaces that aren't quite the corner, so this space right here and this space right here, we're only working 3 double crochet. So that's 2, 3. Now we're going to go into our other space, which isn't quite the corner, and we're working only 3 double crochet. 2, 3. And then in this corner right here, we're going to be working 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So that's our first, second, third. Now chain 2, 1, 2, and work 3 more double crochets in that gap. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so like I said, just keep doing that. So we're going to finish this off. I did a total of 8 rows, so you're going to do 8 rows unless you want to do more rows. And then once you finish that granny square, go ahead and make 2 additional granny squares and then come back to this video. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and I've made all 3 granny squares. So now we're going to go ahead and sew everything together. So to sew everything together, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to flip this to the back. So I'm going to flip all my granny squares to the back. Alright, and there's a specific way we're actually going to go and assemble this bag. So I'm going to show you. So if I put my granny squares like this, this is actually the layout in which we're going to assemble the bag. Okay, so to do that, basically, I'm going to stitch these 2 granny squares together with whip stitches, and then I'm gonna, once these are together, I'm gonna stitch this one on this side, and then we'll kind of fold it together and then stitch it once again. But right now, what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna take these 2 squares and I'm gonna stitch it together with the whip stitch. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and take my border color. So since I used ivory for the border color, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to kind of take it and I'm going to kind of measure it like this. And then, so we have a bit before our square, and then we've got our square, and then we have a bit after. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off right about here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take these 2 squares and kind of fold them together. So they're like this. So basically both wrong sides are facing out and then the right sides are like kind of facing each other. So let me show you what to do. So to attach these squares, you can do any kind of attaching you want to do. So you could do like the whip stitch, you could do mattress stitch, you can do slip stitch, single crochet. I'm going to do the whip stitch because I think it just makes the stitching process look a little flat, and I want it to look flat and not like puffy and bulky. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm just going to weave it through this hole like so. I'm actually going to flip it this way. I want to stitch it on this side instead because we have a kind of clean thing to stitch it to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my yarn, and as you can see, we've got our chain 2 right here. So at the first chain of our chain 2, I'm going to kind of fit my needle in there, and then I'm going to go to the other side and we've got our chain 2 once again, and I'm going to fit my needle into the first one as well on this side, and then I'm going to pull it through. Go ahead and pull it through like that, and then I'm just going to kind of tie it together. So I'm going to pull this a little shorter, so about like right here, so we have like kind of a tail to sew in. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this together. I'm going to double knot it actually. Okay, and then we'll sew in this later. So now with our longer piece, I'm going to put my needle back in the yarn. And then what I'm going to do is that we're going to be weaving in the back loops only. So I'm going to go to our next stitch, which is right here, so our second chain in this gap, and I'm going to go to the back loop of our second chain of this gap, and I'm just going to pull that through. Then I'm going to go to our back loop of this. So you see how this is the back loop, because this would be under both, but I'm just going to go in the back loop. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the back loop of our other stitch, so our corresponding, and we're just going to pull that through. Okay, then I'm going to go to the back loop of this stitch. I'm going to go to the back loop of my corresponding stitch and pull that through. Then I'm going to go to the back loop of this stitch. I'm going to go to the back loop of our corresponding stitch and pull that through. Okay, then we're going to go to the back loop of our next stitch, back loop of our following stitch, and pull that through. So basically we're just going in the back loops and we're just weaving back and forth. Okay, so just keep doing that. So we're going to go like this way, and then we're going to go this way, and then this way, and we're basically just going in the back loops. So I'm going to go to the back loop over here, go to the corresponding, and then I'm going to come back to our next one, corresponding, and weave that through. So just keep doing that until you've reached the end, and then I'll meet you there. Alright, so we've pretty much gone ahead and weaved all the way, but we actually have our last two to work into. So I'm actually going to turn it this way so you can kind of see. So we've got our last like chains that we need to work into. So I'm going to go in there, and then I'll go into the back loop of the other one, and then I'll pull that through, but I'll kind of hold on this when I pull it through. So now that we have a loop, I'm going to go ahead and fit my fingers through, grab this tail, and pull in it so that we create a knot. Okay, and then if I flip it this way, you see how like it's just neatly seamed together, and it's like not puffy or anything, it's just like a flat way to seam it together. That's why I love this freaking whip stitch. Like, it's just so freaking cute. I love it. So far, as you can see, we've got these two whipped together. So obviously we're gonna have to go ahead and seam this one together now, since this is already attached. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go like this again, and we're going to be seaming these two together. So as you can see, the right sides are facing each other and the wrong sides are out, as you can see. So if you're confused on what I just did, basically I turn it to the back sides and we need to seam this together. So I just took it like this, I flipped it this way, and yeah, we're basically just going to go ahead and seam this together. So you already know how we did the whip stitch on this side, so just go ahead and repeat the same process to stitch this together. Okay, so go ahead and stitch this together using the whip stitch, and then I will meet you there. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and I've stitched this side together. So right now my granny squares are still on its back side, so we've gone ahead and we've got the back stitched up. So if I fold my squares like this, so I'm kind of folding them in half, it kind of creates this triangle, and so far obviously we've got our back side stitched up, so now we just need our front side to be stitched up. So in order to do that without obviously having the seam in the front, I'm going to go ahead and flip these back this way, and I'm going to flip this around so it's like this, and then we're going to stitch it together like this. That way we won't have our seam facing out. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and just turn to the side. We're going to start off by stitching this together. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to fold it like this, and what we're going to do is that we're just going to attach our yarn right here, and we're just going to kind of stitch this closed, and I'm going to show you so no one's confused. So first of all, I'm going to grab some yarn about this much. I'm going to snip it off. Okay, now I'm going to grab my needle. Mind you, this is how my work's looking right now. Okay, so I'm going to grab my needle and put this yarn through the needle. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to attach my needle to the first chain in our chain 2. So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see. So we're going to attach it to our first chain. So this is our first chain, and that's our second. We're going to attach it to our first, and then we're going to go to this side and we're going to attach it to our first on this side as well. So we've got our first and our second. So I'm going to go into our first right here, and I'm going to pull that through, but not all the way. Okay, actually kind of all the way, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about. And then we're going to leave a bit of a tail right here so we can tie it later. So I'm just going to go ahead and tie it like this. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and put my yarn back through my needle. And then we're going to start weaving once again. So I'm going to insert my needle into our second chain. So if I turn it this way, this is our second chain. Okay, so the second chain will have our gap in the back loop, and then I'm going to go to the corresponding on this side, and we're just going to pull that through. Alright, then I'm going to come back on this side, and we're going to go to our back loop of our first cluster of 3, go to the back loop on this side, and pull that through. Then I'm going to come back again, go on this side, and then go on this side and pull that through. And then yeah, we're basically just weaving back and forth before, but obviously kind of going like this. Okay, so this is what you guys are going to be doing all the way down. So once we finish doing that, obviously, and we fasten it off, we're going to go like this and fold it on this side, and we're also going to sew this, and then we are going to go ahead and flip this bag inside out. Alright, so I've just sewn this together, so now we're going to go ahead and sew this side together. So to sew it together, I'm actually going to start off by attaching my yarn right here, and then I'm going to seal this closed, okay? Alright guys, so at this point everything's been sewn together, but before I go ahead and flip it right side out, I'm actually going to go ahead and sew in all these loose ends since we're still on our wrong side out right now. So just go ahead and sew them in. Alright, so everything has been sewn together, so now we can go ahead and flip this right side out. So let's go like this. And there we go. As you can see, this is how the right side out looks. Wow, this looks really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to make the strap. Oh, this looks so freaking cute, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. Okay, so to make the strap, basically what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna go onto this side, obviously. So if I look on this side right here, we've got our 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to make a slip knot. And then I'm going to put my slip knot on my hook and then secure that. So we're going to go on here. Alright, so basically what I'm going to do is that we have our chain 3, we've got our last stitch, we've got our chain 1, chain 2, and then we've got 2 more double crochets. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert my hook right here. So right before our third double crochet and our gap, and I'm going to pull this through like this, okay? Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Actually, I just went ahead and chain 2 because I think 3 is a bit much. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go into this stitch right here, and I'm going to be working a double crochet. Okay, now we've reached our gap, and in our gap we're going to just work 2 double crochets in there. So 1, 2, and then we've reached our next stitch. So in this stitch we're just going to be working 1 double crochet, and then we've got 1 more stitch right here, so we're just going to be working a double crochet. Okay, so now this is all the stitches we're going to be doing to make our strap. So now we're going to go ahead and chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to flip my work over, and then we're going to be working double crochets on top of all the double crochets we just did. So I'm going to go in there and work a double crochet, then I'm going to go to the next one and work a double crochet, and then yeah, so we've worked all our double crochets. So now we're just going to chain 2. I feel like I have a problem of over explaining some stuff, so just keep on doing the double crochets and you're just going to be building up in order to create the strap. I did a total of 17 rows, so just keep doing that and then I will come back to you guys. Alright guys, so I did a total of 17 rows, so now I've reached the end, so I'm just going to go ahead and chain 1. And then I'm going to snip off my yarn. But the thing is, right, I'm not going to snip it off so it's too short, but I'm not going to snip it off so it's too long either. So kind of in the middle, because to attach this strap to the other side, I'm actually going to whip stitch it. So we're going to snip off about, let's say about this much. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull that long tail through. To go ahead and sew this onto the other side, what we're going to do is that we're going to whip stitch once again. So right now, if we whip stitch with the front side out, it's actually going to end up showing this seam on this side, and we don't want that. So we're still going to stitch it, but we're just going to kind of stitch it like this. so that way we have it kind of on the wrong side out, and then if we flip it to the other side, we're not going to see the seam. The needle. Okay, and then what I'm doing is that I'm going to go into our second stitch of our chain 3. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to zoom you guys in so you can see some more. And then I'm going to go into our first stitch. And then we're going to go right here to on the back loop, mind you. We're inserting our needle in the back loop and we're pulling that through. Then we're going to go into our back loop for our next. And now we're in the gap, so we're going to go to our first chain and pull that through. Then we're going to go into our second chain on this side and then go to the back loop on this side and pull that through. Okay, then we're going to go to our back loop again of our strap and then go to the back loop and pull that through, and then we're going to go into the back loop one more time. So we're going to go in here and then go in here as well. And then before we pull that through, make sure you kind of hold onto this and pull it through. And then I'm just going to grab our tail and tighten that. And yeah, this is how it looks on this side. So with that being said, so now what we're going to do is we obviously have to go in and sew the loose ends. So I'm going to go ahead and sew in the loose ends and then we'll add the little bow. To add the bow, I'm basically going to grab my orange yarn that I used since I already used it in my bag. You can grab any color that you want, either that you used already or even just a different color that complements your bag. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a slip knot. Okay, and then I'm going to put my hook in there. And then, by the way, I'm actually using a 3.25mm hook. I'm using a 3.25mm hook because I wanted my chains to kind of be thin. I didn't want them to be super big. So yeah, if you want like thin chains, I definitely recommend sizing down on your hook. I'm going to start chaining. So 1, has it 1? Okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so I've chained 70 total, so now I'm going to go ahead and just snip off my yarn. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to fit this through one of the holes and then fit it through the other hole, like this. And then you just go ahead and tie your bow. So let's go ahead and tie this bow. But yeah, our bag has been complete. Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on those post notifications so you can stay updated every time I post. This bag definitely has to be one of my favorite bags I've ever crocheted because of the colors and everything. It's just so cute. But yeah, these bags are super cute. I've made one in this color and then I've also made one in this color, so you can make it in any color that you want and it probably will still be cute as heck. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!